I'm a little nervous because Craig told me that the welcome would be graded today by the teachers. So, all right, well, I'm ready. My name is Chris, and I'm a member of the church in Ocean Park. You may be wondering if you are welcome here, and I want you to know that you are welcome here. This is a unique multi-religious community that is focused on helping to create a more equitable, just, and sustainable world for all. We are multi-religious, so you're welcome here if you are Jewish, if you're Muslim, pagan, Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, atheist, or some combination or something else all together. We welcome you if you are single, married, divorced, gay, transgender, very rich, or living on the edge. We welcome you if you are fidgety or very focused, just woke up or just got out of jail. We welcome you. We welcome longtime Santa Monicans, recent arrivals, visitors, neighbors, and anyone who somehow found parking. We welcome those who pray to God, question God, argue with God, or aren't convinced there is a God to argue with. We welcome you if you're in recovery or still struggling with addiction. We welcome activists who are ready to change the world and exhausted people who need the world to stop changing just for a minute. We welcome you if you'd like organized religion and if you are repelled by it. We welcome you if you sing loudly, quietly, off-key, or only move your lips when Louise is looking at you. We welcome you if you arrived early, slipped in late, or are watching online while doing something else entirely. We welcome you if you're on the autism spectrum, differently abled, facing life's challenges uniquely. Your diversity is our strength. We welcome every kind of family, including families we are born into, families we choose, and families we are still learning how to love. We especially welcome you if you are standing in need of prayer. If you've been hurt by a religious community and are here cautiously, we hope you will find this to be a place of healing. Whoever you are, whatever you carry, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. Welcome to the Church in Ocean Park.
Okay, I heard he got an A+. That's very good. I'm Joseph Hepburn, and I'm welcoming you on behalf of the minister for this church, Reverend Janet McKeithen. Reverend McKeithen may not be here today because of family issues, but she is here with us in spirit, if not in bodily presence. Or maybe she may turn up on Zoom. That would be just as good. Okay, so welcome again. We see some new faces, and I hope you find real welcome and comfort and reassurance as you worship with us today. We, as you heard, are multi-faith. We have programs, many programs that have come up throughout the years, and these programs are contrived or thought of by the members themselves, or sometimes even visitors may come and they have a program that they would like to see instituted or developed, and so they come and present the program, and if 2 or 3 persons in the congregation want to support, then they decide to support at that very moment during the service. And so all our programs come from, as I usually say, the bottom up, and not from the top down, as things seem to be now, even in the highest administrations. So, I endorse that welcome. Here you would find a lot of time to be involved in certain committees and programs, so you would not be tired, or you would not be aware that there's nothing to do. There's a lot to be done. A lot still to be done. So if you are, let me get this quotation right. To the world, you may be just one person. But if you are just one person here in the church in Ocean Park, you may be the world. Welcome to the church in Ocean Park. Now, we usually have our land acknowledgement, and following this, we will sing our Thich Nhat Hanh 3 times. So we, the people of the church in Ocean Park, recognize that our building in Santa Monica here in California sits on stolen land. We, the settlers of this land, honor the Kish, the Tongva, and the Chumash peoples. We acknowledge the harms of genocide, enslavement, forced assimilation, and the destruction of sacred sites, the burial of historic truths, and the indigenous suffering at the hands of settler colonialism. We acknowledge that our communities and country are built upon the backs of people stolen from Africa, placed into bondage, and forced into labor. And so we commit ourselves today to healing, to helping to create a more just and equitable world through the struggle of changing how we do things that we see as normal and that support the systems that oppress people. We have apologized, therefore, for this harm by pledging ourselves to be part of the culture of repair. So we take a deep breath as we sing the Thich Nhat Hanh. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now, 3 times. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now.
And now we have something a little bit different. Today we have a guest. Christopher Hawley is a musician and a teacher, and he's going to lead us in some chair yoga. You're invited to practice along with him, and if you're not comfortable, don't worry, you don't have to. No one's going to make you. Welcome, Christopher Hawley.
Thanks for having me. And it's not going to be very long, 3 to 4 minutes, something like that. So really the most important part of yoga is the deep breath. So just close your eyes and let your next inhale be a little bit deeper than your last. And then just let each breath become subsequently deeper than the last until eventually you're filling your lungs up completely on the inhales, letting all the air out on the exhales. But just let the yoga come to you. The deep breath doesn't all come at once. And start to practice patience, like you're trying to build and strengthen your muscle that's called patience. So you can be more patient with yourself and everyone you cross paths with. And I'm just offering suggestions. Any yoga instructor should clarify that that's what they're saying. Take them or leave them. Listen to the real yoga instructor, which is your body, guiding you through the language of sensation. So, really important, feel how you're feeling right now. And tune into your body so that you can let everything that we do feel really good. It's kind of like the opening song, are you listening? Are you listening to your body? Are you breathing? That's yoga. That's all you have to do to practice yoga. It's something you can bring to any activity, any moment of your life. So continue to deepen your breath, maybe through your nose only. And if you want to, you can start to add a gentle movement. Maybe on an inhale, lift your arms up. And then exhale, just bring your arms down. They can be on the side or in front of you. Inhales, bring your arms up. Exhales, bring your arms down. To whatever degree feels good. Your arms don't have to be straight, but if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, you can straighten your arms all the way through your fingertips. But let your breath guide your movements. And maybe deepen the movements depending on how it feels. Stay tuned in to your body. And let it all feel good. If something doesn't feel good, back off, skip anything. Maybe one or two more breaths like this. And you can keep your eyes closed or you can open them. It's up to you. When you're ready, just come back to seated pose. And on an inhale, open your heart a little bit. Exhale, just take a gentle forward fold to whatever degree. Here, I'll take this off. Just fold forward. And then on an inhale, come back up. And you don't have to go up or down very far, but just feel how it feels. Exhales, come down. Inhales, come up. Maybe open your heart. Breathe so deeply that you make a sound as the air travels through the back of your throat. It sounds like the ocean, like the waves, the ujjayi breathing. Let your neighbor hear your breath. Let me hear your breath. Maybe a couple more breaths this way. Breathe so deeply that you get high on oxygen and you float out of here. Good, we'll do one more thing. Come up to a seated pose. And just grab your left knee with your right hand. Maybe bring your left arm behind you to whatever degree feels good. And on an inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, just maybe glance back towards your left fingers reaching. Inhales, lengthen your spine. Exhale, maybe find a gentle twist a little bit deeper, but don't go too far. Feel how it feels and stay with the breath. Maybe on each exhale you find a little bit deeper stretch. A couple more breaths here, if you want, or release any pose at any time. You don't have to stay as long as I'm suggesting. And then when you're ready, come back to center, take a big spine lengthening inhale, and then release and switch. Left hand on right knee, reach your right arm back behind you. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, maybe gently glance back towards your fingers reaching. And one side might feel different than the other. So stay tuned in to how it feels. If it doesn't feel good, back off, skip it. Stay with the breath. That's all you got to do. Love yourself by breathing deeper. Available at any moment in your life. Maybe a couple more breaths here. And then release back to center. Close your eyes. Bring your palms in front of your heart. And just find a gratitude meditation. Think of something you're grateful for, followed by something else. A loved one, a pet, this beautiful morning, this incredible community we have here. As if you're trying to build and strengthen a muscle called gratitude, so you can bring this with you and get lost in gratitude every moment. Take one more moment here. And then when you're ready, on an inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, bow your head. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Chris Hawley. Thank you so much. Do you teach around anywhere?
Yeah, I teach 7 times a week at Tower 26 on Santa Monica Beach, just directly west of here. It's called Beach Yoga SoCal. You can find that online. Or just come find me. There's a flag. It's Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday mornings, and then sunset Thursday through Sunday. So, yeah.
Thank
Hope to
you
see you
so
down
much.
the road. Yeah, thanks for having me. I love this church.
That was very good. That's the kind of yoga I like. About 5 minutes worth. Thank you so much. Okay. Now we're going to have a song. Now, when I found out we're having Education Sunday, I found a song that has the word teacher in it. So, it goes like this. And you can sing with me. Actually, it's a call and response, so I'm going to sing a line and you can sing back. You got to move. You got to move. You got to move. You got to move. When God gets ready, you got to move. You got to move. You may be high. You may be low. You may be rich. You may be poor. When God gets ready, you got to move. You got to move. You may be teacher. You may be preacher. You may be doctor. You may be lawyer. But when God gets ready, you got to move. You got to move. You may be far. You may be near. You may be straight. You may be queer. But when God gets ready, you got to move. 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 When God gets ready, you got to move. You got to move. That's it. So, let's see. Our minister, Janet McKeithen, had a family thing. her husband was in the hospital, and she had to pick him up this morning. I thought she'd be here by now, but I guess it took longer than we thought. So I want to welcome up our panel. We have a panel of educators to share with us today. Jean Gasca, come on up, give her a hand. Bob Gord, keep clapping. Jody Prisalak. Jody, are you here? Good. And Sylvia Gentili. Welcome. Maybe sit all together there. So, let's have a round of brief introductions. It says here, please tell us your name, where, when, and what you taught. And where's our mic? You want to just go down the line here? Jody first. Hi, Jody. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good
morning, everybody. So my name is Jody Prislak, and I recently...
Oh, yeah. Talk like this. Oh.
Like an ice cream cone, real close to... There we go. Is that it? And I recently retired from UCLA's School of Education as the Associate Dean for Community Programs. I began my career as a high school teacher here in Santa Monica, mathematics teacher for a couple of years, and then I moved on to Los Angeles High School, where I taught for 12 years before going to UCLA to be a teacher educator.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jean Gasca. I started teaching, I guess, while I was a graduate student. I was in a special program at UCLA where graduate students got to teach a class. It was called Patterns of Problem Solving and Decision Making. And that kind of ignited my love of teaching. I didn't realize that that's what I wanted to do. And so it was very exciting. I taught undergraduates for about 6 years there. And then I went into the schools and taught mostly middle school and high school, math and science, because I love math and science. And now that I'm retired, I tutor.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Gentili, and I too have a connection with Jody and University of UCLA Department of Education. I taught retired as well, taught for 20 years in their laboratory school, which is on the north end of campus, taught everybody except 4-year-olds. Our school went from 4-year-olds to 12-year-olds, so pre-K to grade 6. And I come to education kind of late in life, in the sense I had a whole career as an artist and a freelance designer before I went to school for education. And I went to, at the time, LAUSD had a program to invite people like me who wanted to change careers, who had had a career already, to learn about being a teacher. And I thought, oh my God, LAUSD as a teacher, I'm going to learn what the dinosaurs did. You know, it's going to be so horrible. But it turned out that most of the people who were teaching that program were super progressive. So along the way, I did student teaching at Topanga Elementary, and I landed at the lab school and taught there for many, many years.
I'm Bob Gord. My first teaching stint was actually back in Virginia in '69 and '70. I taught English at George Washington Carver High School in Fieldale, Virginia. But then I went on to graduate school at Northwestern University, where I got a PhD in philosophy. And I moved to California. That degree got me a few jobs. I taught at Loyola Marymount for a little bit, and at Mount St. Mary's College, and at LA City College. But in those days, college was not the place to find jobs that lasted very long, and so I reverted, went back over into my other area that I enjoyed so much, and that was English. And so after that, I became a high school English teacher, and I taught at several schools. My longest stints were at Dominguez High School in Compton and Jordan High School in Watts, LA Jordan, and Crenshaw High School. And even after I retired for about 5 or 6 years, I just volunteered and team taught some with a friend of mine at LA High. And I still do a lot of educational work, mainly around here.
Okay, so Bob, just keep the mic. Hold
Okay.
it like this if you can. So this is a question for every panelist. We might as well just go back down this way. Why is education important, Bob?
Okay, I have to get out my notes because I did think about this some.
We can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Well, why is education so important? That's sort of a big question, right? Education is pretty big in and of itself, and as we know, it doesn't just take place in schools, it takes place in homes and businesses and conversations and through the mass media. Education takes place all over the place. So why is it so important? But I thought I would try to just answer that question in a single sentence. For starters. And that is, without the transmission of know-how from generation to generation, know-how of many kinds, humans wouldn't know how to survive. You know, if we didn't learn how to do things, we couldn't sustain ourselves. So that does make education pretty important in and of itself. Okay, but the second thing I want to talk about is in one way broader and one way narrower than that. I'll narrow down to school education in schools, but I want to say that education is certainly not just about know-how. It's also about information, vast quantities of information. It's also about values. And values are what I now want to narrow in on a little bit, although that's also a vast topic. But the main point I want to make is this. I feel as if education could be more important than it is if values were taught, were approached in a different way than they usually are. Okay, to some extent, of course, values are transmitted. When you go to school, you learn rules of decorum, and you learn some of the standards by which your work will be evaluated and so forth, which is all, that's all as it should be. But there's another thing that needs to be stressed a lot more, in my mind, which is that education is not just about transmission. And I believe that students need to learn to see themselves, not just as evaluatees, but as evaluators. In other words, they shouldn't just learn about the way the world is, they should be encouraged to evaluate. There's some enlightened teachers that already do these things. Jean is one. For instance, she'll have her students compose their own set of norms, largely. She may need to add a little, but that's practice in being evaluators, right? And there's so many ways it can be done, and it depends on what level the student is. but certainly with history, first, it should be taught honestly, and secondly, students should be asked not just what happened, but was that fair? Was it okay the way those people were treated? Is there some better way they could have been treated? And so forth. And then on up to the present. Look around at your society. Does it seem like a fair society? How about the way wealth is distributed? And you could go from their own experiences, but also add information. And education could be much more important as a force for good if students are taught to be thoughtful evaluators. And we shouldn't be graduating from our colleges chemists, say, this is just a small example, who go on to work for Dow Chemical, say a few decades ago, developing, what's that horrible? The the poison, Agent Orange. They shouldn't be sitting there thinking, well, I'm just doing neutral work. My job is just to do the research and, without any thought for how it's going to be used. We need to graduate people who are making thoughtful value judgments. And notice this is not about indoctrination, it's sort of about the opposite of indoctrination. But we know that presently, these things are happening in some classrooms, but there's a tremendous opposition to this kind of education. The right doesn't want this kind of education. They want indoctrination, and they all often want dishonesty. So it's a fight. That's my thing.
Well, I'm coming from the exact opposite end of the education experience. I'm talking about 5- and 6-year-olds, or anybody up to age 12. And why education matters to me, I think about Italy's experience with fascism in the 1940s. And basically, the educators understood, after all the mayhem and the horrors of World War II, that the kids were doomed to be, the whole situation was doomed to be repeated unless they looked at education differently, like completely differently. And they valued human interaction, they valued multiple perspectives, they valued critical thinking, they valued exploration, they valued the arts. I mean, all the things that we know help people make meaning out of the world in a way that is not prone toward fascist tendencies. And so I think that's a lot of what happened at my experience at the lab school. We learned about Reggio Emilia, which came to popularity around the world in the 90s. But we learned about it at the lab school in the early 2000s. And we started really looking at our own curriculum critically. How much of it was top-down, you have to know this. Yes, there are standards in education. Everybody agrees that people have to understand certain things, but it's the social emotional underpinning of that. How do you relate to people who have different opinions than you, who come from different class than you, who come from a different neighborhood? How do you teach people to experience difference as something that is a growing experience, not something that should make you hunker down and quote defend yours, right, in relation to all these other people? So I had the good fortune of being at the lab school when these ideas that were developed for preschoolers in Italy began to take root in elementary schools around the country, and ours was one of them. And it meant things like prioritizing critical thinking and social emotional learning not over facts, but just balancing facts and standards with the approach. It's called the Reggio Emilia approach because it's not a checklist. It is really a series of values, as you were talking about, Bob, that start from the very beginning about how kids work with each other, valuing collaboration, hearing everybody's ideas, really a non-judgmental way of approaching things. And we often get criticized, wow, it just looks like your kids are playing. Yeah, they are playing. And play is their work. That's how they learn to put these different ideas into practice. Anyway, I could go on, but I will pass it to Jean. So anyway.
Well,
It's important.
I'm kind of in the middle. I'm in middle school most of my career. But I'm also thinking about college because I remember, well, I'm going to go back to high school for a minute. My high school history teacher had us memorize the dates of battles in wars and how many horses got killed and people. I swear to you, we had, and this by memory, we couldn't bring any notes. So my feeling about history was I hated history class because my memory is not really good for unrelated facts. And I think that history is so important because we need to know what happened before, what worked, and what didn't work, and what do we not want to do again. And I think we're experiencing that in the country right now. I think that in order to be an effective person in the world and in our own life and happy, that we need to know about the natural world. We need to know what's happening out there, because how can we evaluate something like global warming and the things that scientists are telling us if we don't understand a little bit about weather and climate and animals and plants? How can we really evaluate, like Bob was saying, what's being said about climate change? So that's the natural world. And then we need to know a little bit about how people take action in the world, in the natural world. So we're talking about engineers, how do people build things? And there's materials science, and there's all sorts of other kinds of science, electrical engineers. And then there's values, which everybody's talking about, psychology classes, and I forgot, there was one more thing I wanted to say, and the arts. They're so important, and to hear that they're being taken away from schools is just, I kind of clutch my heart when I hear that. And then English. I remember my English teacher in history as well, and he could have taught us how to communicate with words. And what he did instead was he kind of pounded a gavel on his desk and from top down told us how to write things and wrote all sorts of things over our papers. Instead of taking the advantage of the fact that he had these young minds that were ready to absorb how to think. Really, writing an essay, it's just like writing a lab report in science. It's using evidence to show your conclusion. And that's also not happening right now in our government. So all these things, I think, are really important in education.
So when Janet asked me to be on this panel with the question, it was a very emotional issue for me because I have spent my life working in education. And today I fear that we have an administration that wants to end public education, that is doing anything it can. And for me, education is a fundamental human right. And when we do it well and we have our children are well educated, they're able to participate in our communities. They have a voice. They're able to push back on things that aren't good. So for me, why is education important? It's because it gives voice to all of us. I mentioned that I started my career at Santa Monica High, and I love that school. It was an amazing school doing amazing things with kids. And I thought every child should have access to this. And that's why actually I went to Crenshaw first and then went to LA High in 1970. 7, a few years ago. And I felt that what the kids in Santa Monica had, the kids in LA should have too. That's what public education is all about. So I was at LA High for 12 years and as a math teacher, and trying to get beyond the notion of what math is, right? Read a rule, practice, read a rule, practice, 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 learn your multiplication table. And so for me, for example, I brought AP Calculus to the school. It hadn't had it, and yet AP classes are important if you college-wise. Now, does it help you if you have other aspirations? Not necessarily, but to me, you should have access to it. And that's what education should be about, having the right to access what anyone access. I left LA High to go to UCLA and became part of creating a center that was focused on social justice, that was about having all kids have access to an equitable education. As a part of that, we partnered with LA Unified to start a school. And it's an LA Unified school. We didn't want it to be a private, or it's part of LA Unified, but we have an agreement with it. And the school is a K-12 school in downtown LA. It was a school where, in a very densely populated area that had no schools, and kids were bused to 70 different schools. So on the first day, when parents got to walk their kids to school, they cried, because they had never walked their kid to school before. So to me, that was one change. It was about bringing a school to a neighborhood where kids could learn. Anyway, the school, we developed 4 core competencies that related to mastering academic subjects, but one of the core competencies that all of our children graduated with was being able to participate in a civic society, being able to have your voice heard. And so we did that by all of our students have internships, all of our students work in political offices or in government somehow to understand what it is and to have that power. So for me, because I could go on for this forever, but that's the key thing for me, is that our children have to have access to education. It's what allows them to participate, to have voice, to make a community that we all want to be a part of.
What's the name of that
The name of the school is there's 2 of them now, UCLA Community School and Man UCLA Community School over by Jordan, actually, not far from.
Thank you so much. That's all the time we have for this panel. It was really wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to do a little song, and then we're going to have community sharing. So you all get a chance to speak and maybe ask questions. So just a little song about voting. They want to take my vote away. I'm here to tell them not today. I'm gonna lift my voice, I'm gonna lift my feet till I'm buried in my grave. They wanna take my vote away. What? I'm gonna tell them not today. I'm gonna lift my voice, lift my feet till I'm buried in my grave. That's not right. They wanna take my vote away. I'm here to tell them not today. I'm gonna lift my voice, lift my feet till I'm buried in my grave. Let's do it one more time. They wanna take my vote away. I'm here to tell them not today. I'm gonna lift my voice, lift my feet till I'm buried in my grave. Now, I wanted to find a connection between teachers, and I keep hearing from teachers how tough these administrators are with their standards and all this. So anyway, that's the connection. So now it's time. Oh, Joseph will lead us in community sharing.
Okay. I see all these hands up already. My goodness. Oh, everybody's ready to go.
I knew it.
All right. Start with the youngest.
That would technically be Kevin.
No, come on. Well, you're young. Well,
Well, thank you. I was really looking forward to this today. You know, education, I think, is probably one of the most, if not the most important thing in a society. And, you know, I was thinking about what you were saying, Bob, about evaluation and the reality of standards within a curriculum. And I would say that probably the most important thing I learned in my education, and I kind of want to hear what you guys think of this, is that when we're thinking about those standards and evaluations, we have to think about the thought process and assumptions that produce those standards and evaluations we purport. And in thinking about those assumptions and evaluating those assumptions, like that's really your key driver. That really changed a lot for me within, you know, learning what learning is and learning science and pedagogy and all that. So I'm curious what you guys think of that idea of questioning and really, I guess, tackling the assumptions one has in their thinking versus just, here's what the standard is according to this one curriculum. I don't know if you want, it's cool.
There's a lot of people that want to speak, so I think, you know, any answers should be very brief. I'm sorry.
Quick one. As a philosophy person, examining assumptions is what is just huge. That's what we need to be doing. We have so many assumptions. That's the thing. We assume that we're going to have this kind of society and so forth, but can't we ask and imagine something different? Yeah, questioning the underlying assumptions is vital.
Yeah, that's kind of why we developed at the lab school this inquiry curriculum, which is standards-based, but it's also based on kids' questions. And it really is about honoring different perspectives, not just saying, education looks like this for all people. It's saying, well, you know, education at elite private schools looks like this, and what kinds of things are they learning, and what kinds of values do they purport, and what kind of opportunities, like you were talking about, Jody, do those folks have that people at regular public schools in LA do or do not have, mostly do not. And you know, what based on class, race, gender. So that's how we answered that question, was to say, okay, we're going to take standards, but we're going to embed in the curriculum this idea that you question. It's okay, fine. It says this is what you're supposed to teach in third grade history. You're supposed to do a deep dive into the history of Los Angeles. Okay, well, whose perspective are you talking about? There are multiple perspectives on that. Anyway, that was my response.
Okay.
I'm going to say really quickly,
Okay.
this sounds fantastic. I wish that I had been at that school, because I taught at so many schools where these are the math standards and you will teach these and you will write it on the board at the beginning of the period. And if I walk into your classroom, if it's not on the board, I'm going to write you up. And you guys who have been in the church for a long time, you heard me complain about this for many years, because I went in saying we should talk about the standards and talk about the assumptions.
Okay.
what Sylvia was talking about, you know, kids with playing and things, it reminded me of when I used to be a kid being on the autism spectrum. I did a play thing called 4-Time that Dr. Stanley Greenspan had started, and I really had liked it, and it really helped me. And then also got me thinking about math and science. Well, not really 4-Time, but I went through a company called Animal Bell, which I got introduced as a kid, and it really helped me with reading, writing, and math, and I just really liked it.
Okay, we're going to pause here a minute before we go to the next question. We want to recognize that Reverend Janet is here with us. Where is she going? Yes.
All right. I don't know, this is maybe too big of a question, but I'm curious what you all think of the Alpha School. If you've heard of the new private AI-focused school. And the idea is you spend 2 hours a day with a personalized AI program that just meets you at your level, and you spend 2 hours a day doing the memorizing and the standards, and the rest of the day is free for projects and activities.
I don't know, should we let the panelists answer the question, or should we have more community sharing from the audience? What do you think?
More questions first, and then they can.
You know?
Having had a mother as a teacher, I learned very early that teaching is a noble profession. And the result of a well-trained teaching staff is evident in the growth of society. My question to you as a group, do you feel that this generation has indeed benefited, or has the educational system failed miserably in reference to recognizing those goals and putting forth, and what would you say is comparable in terms of educators addressing that?
Okay, we'll have one more question, and then we'll go back to the panelists after this one.
This is not really a question, but about 60 years ago, I became interested in how ill-suited... About 60 years ago, I became very interested in how ill-suited my public education in the largest school system in the country was to me as a person. And so I started reading about it, studying it, took classes. I learned about a special school called Summerhill, and I also learned about the fascist response to that school in a book called Summerhill, For and Against. But I also learned about two words that are very important in any discussion about how we hope children become citizens in a democracy: education and inculcation. Education, the root of that word is to draw someone out. Inculcation is putting stuff into their heads. And we very easily, with schooling, fall into the trap of thinking that we just need to put the right stuff into the right kids' heads. That was not the premise of Summerhill. The premise of Summerhill was, you want to become well-adjusted citizens in a democracy? You're in school, this is your democracy. You do what you want, you study what you want, you study it any way you like. If you have teachers who know more than you, they can help you. If they don't, they can guide you to others. They had just a few rules. One was you didn't step on anybody else's toes. And I think two was they met every week to decide so people could complain if someone was stepping on their toes. So these were all maladjusted kids who refused to cooperate in school. Many of them went on to become managers in businesses.
Any response from one or two of the...
Did you want to take all the questions first? You got a bunch of questions.
Well, don't forget about Zoom. We got Linda waiting.
Yeah, we're going to get to Zoom. All right. More questions, okay.
My name is Jerry Rubin, and I've been a long-time appreciator of teachers, especially since I sadly was a high school dropout in Philadelphia. And I know what a hard job it is, probably the hardest, and really appreciated the insights all of you've given. I truly believe we're all teachers and all students throughout our entire lifetime. We all can learn and we can all teach in many different ways. Even the stickers on my bumper sticker table, one says, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Another one that Einstein said, imagination is as important as knowledge. And another, and of course, the great ones like teach peace, etc. But there's one that I really, really have come to like. It says, it's too bad that the people who should be running the country are all busy teaching school. And that says a lot about how important, how insightful the teachers are. So I just want to thank you all for everything you're doing.
We had another. We had one hand across here. Was your hand up, Craig? No.
Hello. I just had two things to add to the conversation. I went to a community college in Maryland. It was like technically it was a 2-year program, but I was taking classes there for 4 years. I could have taken classes there for 20 years and then potentially got a job as a teacher. I was working in the photography lab for a little while. Anyway, the second thing that I like to add is that we go from kindergarten to elementary school without blinking an eye, elementary school to middle school without blinking an eye, middle school to high school without blinking an eye for free. It's paid with taxpayer money. I think that we should go from high school to community college without blinking an eye for free. Now, if you wanted to go, like I went to middle school with a good friend of mine, and then in high school, she wanted to pay to go to, or her parents wanted her to go to a private school, an all-girls school, which she did. So she didn't go to the high school, the public high school that I went to. But if you don't want to go to community college for free, and if you want to pay for a 4-year university, go for it. Or if you want to do the community college for 2 to 4 years and then go to a private university, cool. But I think that community college should be free. I think there's money to do it, and it was an amazing experience for me. And I think that when you're 18, I mean, still, even when I was 22, I mean, there's still so much to learn, like, as an adult. I mean, I don't think, like, just being 18 years of age and, like, okay, you can go out to the world now, or even at 22 years of age, you can go out to the world now. I'm 20 years older, and I'm still, like, it's still, like, I could have been, I mean, it's like, so anyway, I think that would be amazing to do. Also, if someone has a job or a career profession and they want to take a class for their personal enrichment at a community college, also free. You know, I think that would also be good. I also had my best friend's mother went to the same community college that I did for 2 years, and then she transferred to Johns Hopkins University, and she became a nurse. So that's also very good. So I think community colleges are essential, and I think that they should be free.
Thank you all for coming here. I know most of you. I got two quick comments or questions. The first one was that you mentioned, that, and it goes along with my friend here, that when I went to college 100,000 years ago, it was $50 a semester. And now that same college is $2,000 a semester, and people are getting out of college and they owe $100,000, some of them. And my second part was this morning's news had a segment about people going to college, getting out, and there are no jobs. And part of it, they didn't bring up all the reasons, but of course one of them is the Donald. But otherwise, there's AI, and this uncertainty in our economy is down. And they had, like, one young gentleman who just got out of college, and he said, you know, it used to be you get out of college, you get a job right away. 6 months, he put in 125 applications, and he just finally got a little bite. And I don't know, oh, and Bob, you mentioned the morality of somebody getting out of school, an engineer, and getting a job at an evil corporation. So how do you feel about somebody that needs the money and they're hungry, they owe $100,000 and they got out of college? What are they supposed to do? Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Just one more. Anyone on Zoom?
Yes, thank you. I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher since 1973, and I'll be back in the classroom a week from tomorrow. So I found this to be a very interesting discussion. One of the things that I wanted to sort of second something that I think Bob alluded to at the beginning, which is the difference between education and schooling. I mean, education is I just think those are two different things. And education has to do with the whole societal process. And I thought it was very interesting, the self-actualization aspect of education, whereas schooling is a social function that trains people for roles that have been decided by whoever is in charge of the larger society. And I would just say that I was thinking about what a number of people have alluded to of the system failing, failing lots of people, particularly people of color, women, working class kids. And I just think that the system, as W.E.B. Du Bois is supposed to have said, I'm not sure he said it, but it's a good quote anyway, the system cannot really fail those it was never designed to protect. And I think that there are a whole lot of people that the school system was never designed to help actualize their full potential. And I think that those are larger social questions that we have to deal with.
Okay, thank you. We'll have one more person. Go ahead.
Somebody mentioned inculcation versus education. There's so much we learn implicitly. Like right now, everybody's swept away by digital, but that's a doomed technology. It's toxic. It can't sustain an economy for a long time. Using up resources, and supply chains are very extensive. So it's just what we learn from our culture, and we kind of been swindled by digital.
Okay, thank you all for some very good questions. I think we have to stop at some point.
Sorry, I'll be quick. So what do you think about the whole, we're seeing a lot of censorship in a lot of classrooms right now when we talk about a lot of very issues right now, including like AB 715, which for those who don't know is preventing teachers talking about, Palestine in our classrooms and having those tough discussions about, Zionism and how it is an inherently toxic ideology. I just want to know your thoughts because my campaign is really trying to fight against that, and I just want to know, so.
Okay, any comments from the panelists?
I think, I'll just respond to this last one. There were so many, I don't know where to begin, actually.
Just choose one. And
OJ, just pick one. Okay.
Last words.
I fear the loss of our freedom of speech and freedom to engage in tough conversations. No, we all don't think alike. No way. And that's okay. But to be able to discuss it and to be able to learn from each other about it is really important. So I really struggle with what's happening right now around those issues.
Okay, thank you. Any closing comments? No?
Any other questions? This was so interesting. I think we can do this again.
I wanted to respond to your idea, Craig, about the system failing, because I think it has. I also really liked your comment, Linda, that the system that's not designed to serve everyone doesn't fail those that it doesn't serve. So, I mean, I think this is a way bigger question than what's going on in the classroom. This tug of war, basically, between people who view education as a way to improve opportunity and open doors for everyone, regardless of what their background is, and people who view education like Linda McMahon as unimportant and also something. It's basically about social control. We want to be able to control these people from 5-year-olds all the way up to 18-year-olds, so we'll stick them in school. And we want to teach them certain values, rather than have the goal of education be, as people have said, self-actualization, envisioning a future that's sustainable for everybody. That's a very dangerous topic for the powers that be, and that's, I think, where education needs to go. So.
Well, maybe I'll address the thing about failing. I mean, I think our capitalist and imperialist system is failing, you know, most of the people in this country, and also people in other parts of the world, such as Gaza. And so that education is also failing people is just all part of that same big package. But better education can be part of the way out, but you know, it's a tough struggle we're in.
Okay. Okay, thank you all very much. This was an education in itself. And I have questions too, but I'll have to ask you individually after. So thank you very much indeed.
Okay, now we just have a moment of reflection and silence. That was so good, you teachers. That was really good. And I will break the silence with a song that I heard from Tom T. Hall. It's called I Care, and I think teachers care. Teachers care. When the TV won't work and your toys fall apart and you have a sad feeling deep in your heart and you want to go out but it's raining out there, I want you to know I care. I care. I do. There's no one like you. When they take you someplace and you sit in a chair, I want you to know I care. When you tell a big lie and your brother is mean, when being grown up is a faraway dream, when they're filling your teeth or cutting your hair, I want you to know I care. I care. I do. There's no one like you. I mention your name when I'm saying my prayers. I want you to know I care. When you have a bad cough, you can't go out. When you sit for a week with that thing in your mouth. When you sleep in the dark and there's something out there, I want you to know I care. I care. I do. There's no one like you. And sometimes I act like a grouchy old bear, but I want you to know I care. I love you too much.
This one's on, right? Yep. Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to thank the participants, and I didn't say anything because I get to talk now if I want, but I am the son of 2 public school teachers, so I grew up with the sort of values of that, and I think since I'm talking about money, it was interesting to hear different perspectives, but I think all of them were about the importance of the role of values and critical thinking and those kind of things in school, and much less about the transactional training, which for some things we need, right? But a lot of them are pushed on us by people who think we should be just supporting the machine. But I think here in donating to the church, it's important because we can continue to have that conversation if you support us, and it keeps us going, and we can do things like this and even do it again, as Jean said, right? It's a good conversation. So anything you can to support the church. There is also, for all of those that have managed to do the training on your phone, there's a QR code on the little yellow piece in the back if you would like to do an online donation. So thank you very much.
Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. Will never forsake you. Just to say, if you've never been here, bread is about anyone can sign up to share bread and speak from their heart just for a few minutes, because we want to hear from everybody. And what is your name? Kyle is speaking today and sharing bread with you. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you so much for the panel. I really appreciate getting to hear more about the experiences and lives of folks that I have come to see and become familiar with over the Sundays. I've been coming here for about 9 months now or so, maybe a little more. My mom is a classified employee at a public school district for elementary school, and also the work that they do in the offices and the yards and all of that is so deeply important. And in my experience observing her, sometimes those voices can go unheard. They do not have nearly as powerful of a union around them, and still it's so important that their role, especially during the leisure time, we talk a lot about ethics today. That was a big discussion. And there's, folks like my mom who spent, before she was working in the office, and she actually just got a promotion this year. She's now office manager, very exciting. Before she was working in the office, she's the one at recess, lunch, etc. And these are folks who are not beholden to standards. They don't have things they absolutely need to make sure they're getting across per state or local guidelines. And they're the ones, also, I guess technically, only supposed to make sure that everyone is being safe. But is that really the job of someone who is there during leisure time? No, right? So, I myself have done education before in the past. At San Francisco State, I taught a writing course, and now, as some of you know, I work in psychosis recovery. But a big part of what I do is also educating families. That's actually arguably my favorite part of my job is education. And I don't want to take up too much time here, but would love to gauge interest in discussing kind of what does psychosis recovery mean? You know, especially when we talk about housing, severe mental illness plays a serious role in making sure that folks are not able to only acquire housing, but to keep it. And if that's something that is of interest to folks, and when I say psychosis, I mean, you know, the bigger diagnoses would be things like schizophrenia, schizoaffective, bipolar 1, and that's all kind of my wheelhouse. But it's by no means exclusive to that. Substances, trauma, lots of different things. Sometimes illness, COVID actually, can throw someone into psychosis. And now there's a whole thing called AI psychosis, which is a very real thing. And so to the gentleman asking about AI schools, maybe one day that could be a helpful tool. I don't think of myself too much as a Luddite, but at the same time, putting this very new technology in front of very impressionable minds when there is enough data to demonstrate that even in front of very formed minds, you know, folks with, you know, well over the age of 26 or whatnot, when the brain is fully developed, can still be impacted by psychosis-inducing thought patterns. And I am more than happy to talk about what that means, the science behind that, but I think that's probably a much larger discussion than today. So anyway, thank you so much for having me here, as always. Yeah, feel free to ask me if you have questions about that, or yes, anything like that. Absolutely.
We invite you to join in our closing circle. Oh, and then we'll go to Abby as first thing. This is a circle where we try to get in a circle, first of all. And then go ahead. Make this world a better place.
If you can, one more time. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can.
All right, thank you all.
All right, well, we're going to do a really quick song. This is just one little part of a song, and we'll sing it 3 times.
Sorry, we didn't go to Bonnie. So hold on.
Okay.
I messed up.
I'm just so many people going through so many horrific situations. I think all of us having our challenges.
Everyone.
And my prayer is that I can keep folks in my heart, but also take care of business that I need to take care of, physical business, emotional business, spiritual business. And then on a very local, where I live note, my neighbor who was, well, Fred and I have been living next to, and her situation, and that God got us, goodness willing, she'll totally accept the help that she needs, which she tends to resist. Thank you.
All right, now we have a closing song.
All right, closing song. I dedicate this to the teachers in the room, all the panelists and the teachers, but you can think of it to anybody you would like. People like you help people like me. Go on, try that. People like you help people like me. Go on, people like you help people like me. Go on, a couple more times. People like you help people like me. Go on, people like you help people like me. Go on. love a short song at the end.
That's right, you guys. All right, everybody raise your arms up. We're going to say carry on together. 1, 2, 3. Carry on. Thank you, everybody.